All right, so today I'm reading a recent US strategic move through two classic geopolitical lenses, Mayhem and Spikeman. The big question is, does the US still lead or does it impose? My stance is guardian, though with coercive tools. I'm not saying the US is purely good. I'm just saying that in this case, the objective is protecting the system, especially trade routes, but the methods can look and feel like pressure to rivals. And I'm going to prove that with one concrete case, two theories, and a few hard numbers, then bring it back to what it means for global business and for Mexico. Selected US strategic action. So, what's the action? The US expanded its operational access in the Philippines through EDCA, adding additional locations and strengthening interoperability. At the same time, the US and the Philippines increased joint maritime activity. Think cooperative operations, exercises, and coordinations, built around two goals: deterrence and speed of response if a crisis happens. That is not improvised. If you look at the map, the Philippines sits near critical sea lanes and strategic waterways, connecting the Pacific with contested maritime space by gaining more access and flexibility there in the US. It is basically saying we can show up quickly, sustain presence, and raise cost of disruption. And so the Mayhem lens is sea power. Now, through Mayhem, this is a classic sea power logic. Mayhem's idea is that power is not only having ships, it is the ability to shape maritime movement through naval presence, plus bases and plus logistics. So EDCA matters because access points and operational reach makes the US sea power more creditable. It becomes easier to patrol, support allies, and respond quickly near key routes. In Mayhem terms, the objective is to keep e-commerce moving by lowering uncertainty for shipping and increasing deterrence against anyone who might try to intimidate or block movement at sea. That's why maritime positioning is not just military, it's economic, infrastructure, and global system. And Rayman, and now let's flip Spikeman. Spikeman argues that controlling the rimland, the coastal zones around Eurasia, matters more than controlling the deep interior. The rimland is where population, industry, and trade routes concentrate, so the power that shapes the rimland shapes the world power. The US isn't simply present, it's strengthening an alliance belt that turns geography into leverage. And here's the key: alliances convert coastal lines into control. And synthesis and impact. This is where the theories connect. Mayhem explains that maritime logic secure trade routes and reduce disruption risk. Now, the business impact. And this is where the numbers on the slide matter. I'll read them as they appear. First, 3.4 total trade in South China Sea. Next is 35% Mexico's trade growth with Asia. And then 40% Mexico's import via Pacific ports. So, what does this do to global business? If tension rises, companies face higher shipping costs, higher insurance premiums, delays, and uncertainty. Exactly the conditions that punish global supply chains. If deterrence works, the effect in the opposite: stability, predictability, and lower risks. Conditions that support investments and trade. For Mexico, the takeaway is simple. Even if the conflict zone is far, the economic shakewaves travel. Mexico's manufacturing, imports and components, and exports competitiveness are all sensitive to the global freight costs and supply chain vulnerability. So, my conclusion stays consistent. I'm a guardian with an edge of imposition. Guardian, because the strategic um, basic infrastructure is global trade, but coercive because forward access and alliance positioning also operates as pressure tools, creating security dilemmas and intensifying rivalry. And that's the point of reading the US and the strategy through geography. Mayhan explains why sea routes and maritime presence translate into power. Spikeman explains why alliances along the rimland translate into global leverage. And the data shows why this matters not just for security, but for the business and Mexico economic reality. Thank you very much.